They called you the wheelman. A simple role for a simple job. That was their first mistake.
Every operation begins with silence, a controlled stillness where every variable is accounted for. Or so you're told. Their confidence was a carefully constructed facade designed to inspire loyalty and discourage questions. In this business, time is not a resource, it's a weapon. Every second is a calculated move on the board. Communication is the lifeline of any plan. When it frays, the entire structure begins to collapse from within. The first crack in their composure appears. Fear is contagious, and it spreads faster than any coherent signal. Panic dismantles hierarchy. Suddenly, there are no leaders, only desperate voices fighting for individual survival.
External pressure is a predictable force. It is the internal breakdown that truly makes an outcome inevitable.
Protocol dictates you hold your position, but instinct whispers a different truth. Protocol is for the expendable, the inevitable conclusion to a poorly designed plan. The system purges its own errors with brutal efficiency.
Loyalty is a currency, and they had just declared bankruptcy. It was time to secure your own assets.
Timing isn't about adherence to a schedule. It's about recognizing the exact moment that schedule becomes a cage.
And there it is, the real voice of control, the one who was never in jeopardy, merely observing the chaos. To be controlled, you must be connected. Sever the connection, and you reclaim your agency from the puppet master.
The art of disappearing is not to run, but to blend. Become one more anonymous vehicle in a city full of them.
Paranoia is simply a heightened state of awareness. They call it a weakness. The survivor knows it's an essential tool.
They always have a contingency, a shadow to watch the pawn. Their arrogance is in assuming you are predictable.
To break a pattern, you must introduce chaos.
Confirmation. You were never just the driver. You were the designated loose end, meant to be neatly tied off.
The mission they gave you is over. Your own mission, survival, has just begun. The rules are now yours to write.
They call the first hour golden for law enforcement. For me, it was the hour I ceased to exist and became a ghost.
The first rule of escape isn't speed, it's anonymity. A tool, once used, must be discarded without sentiment.
In a crowd, the intense desire to be unseen makes you invisible. You become just another face, avoiding eye contact.
Communication is a weapon. In the wrong hands, it's a leash. My first priority was to cut the old one and forge a new link.
The narrative they paint is always simple: a robbery, a clean getaway. They omit the crucial details of the internal collapse. True security isn't a fortress, it's a place no one would ever think to look for someone of value. The more insignificant, the safer.
They believe I have the score. That singular assumption is the most dangerous variable, making me a target for their greed.
They aren't just searching randomly, they're retracing my routes, thinking like I would. Loyalty is a currency that just became worthless. Chaos isn't random, it's orchestrated. I replayed the comms in my head, searching for the discordant note, the one line that sounded rehearsed.
To truly disappear, you must kill the person you were. A new face is the first step toward a complete identity purge.
They have technology and manpower. I have an intimate knowledge of the city's veins, the secret paths that official maps never show.
Predictability is a death sentence in this game. You must learn to use the city's natural chaos as your personal smokescreen.
Information is leverage. By listening to the hunters, you learn their patterns, their blind spots, and their mounting frustration.
The most effective defense is to make your enemies chase shadows. Their own paranoia will accomplish most of the work for you. Constant pressure doesn't just wear you down, it refines you. It burns away everything but pure, uncut survival instincts.
A proficient operator always has contingencies for their own team's failure. I wasn't just their driver, I was my own safety net.
When trust collapses, a wolf pack degrades into starving dogs fighting over a bone. They mistakenly believe I am that bone. Instinct is faster than conscious thought. It's the primal brain screaming a warning before the logical mind even registers the threat. It wasn't a failure. It was a purge. A beautifully simple design where one exit was intentionally left open for one person. They made me the fugitive because they needed a scapegoat. Now, I understand the next stage is to stop running and become the player. Every connection is a liability. The first rule of survival is to sever the ties that they can trace. Paranoia isn't a symptom of your condition. It's the only instinct keeping you alive in this urban maze. Predictability is a death sentence. You must maneuver in ways that defy logical pursuit. The media shapes the narrative, painting you as the villain. This public perception is a weapon used against you. To disappear, you must shed your old skin. Identity is just a layer of paint that can be scraped away.
They hunt for the person you were. But that person ceased to exist the moment the plan failed.
Information is their ammunition. You must starve them of data, leaving only a digital ghost in your wake.
Seeing their faces, you realize loyalty was just a currency they spent to buy their own failed escape.
Resources are dwindling. The pressure mounts not just from outside, but from your own diminishing options.
The fugitive's greatest enemy is exhaustion. It invites mistakes, and one mistake is all they need. Running is a tactic, not a strategy. To survive, you must stop reacting and start deconstructing the betrayal.
The board is set. It's time to replay the game, not as a pawn, but as an observer watching from above.
Chaos is a design. Within the static and panic, there's a pattern, a voice that directed the failure.
Timing is everything. A delay of seconds, a premature signal. These aren't errors, they are calculated moves. They assumed you were just the driver, focused only on the road ahead. They never expected you to look at the periphery. The betrayal wasn't an improvisation. It was scripted. You just found the actor who missed his cue. Your intimate knowledge of this city was meant to be their asset for escape. Now, it will be their cage. Every organization has fractures. Pressure doesn't create them. It only reveals where to apply leverage. Sleep is a luxury you can't afford. The truth is a stimulant more potent than any chemical. And there it is. Not just who betrayed you, but why. The scapegoat now understands the nature of the sacrifice.
They used chaos as a smokescreen, but every form of chaos has its own distinct rhythm if you listen closely.
The smallest deviation, the single drop that breaks the surface, reveals the depth of the deception. They didn't give me a map to the score. They gave me a meticulously crafted blueprint for my own entrapment. Timing is a weapon. They weaponized every second against me, turning my precision into a liability. The most effective traps are the ones you help build yourself, believing they are for someone else. Loyalty is a currency, and I was unknowingly used to pay a debt between traitors.
Paranoia is just heightened awareness. It's the instinct that screams when logic is being manipulated. To find the truth, sometimes you must first analyze the anatomy of the lie they constructed for you.
The media tells a story, but not the true one. They're just another pawn, moving as directed.
Their positions weren't tactical, they were sacrificial. Each move was designed to corner me. They counted on panic, on the primal fear that clouds judgment. But my fear is cold and sharp.
Erasing data doesn't destroy it. It just creates ghosts, and I've learned how to speak to them. To understand the mind of your enemy, you must first dissect the role they wrote for you in their narrative.
Everyone has a pressure point. The setup wasn't about the money. It was about leveraging those weaknesses.
In the dark, details emerge that are invisible in the light. The truth was always there, hiding in plain sight.
They didn't just want me caught. They needed to control where and when it happened.
The foundation of their plan had flaws, small fissures of ego and greed that will bring it all down.
They left me an escape route, but it wasn't an act of mercy. It was the next stage of the performance. They created a game I couldn't win by following the rules, so the only logical move is to break the game itself.
It clicks. The pattern resolves. It wasn't a team member who betrayed us. It was the architect of the entire operation.
The final piece of the puzzle wasn't a clue. It was a memory of a casual remark, a lie so small it was almost perfect.
They didn't just need a driver. They needed a fool, a pre-selected casualty to absorb the entire narrative of failure.
Fear is a tool. Once you understand who is afraid of what, you hold the strings. And they are all afraid of exposure.
Every piece of evidence I had was a link back to me. To become a ghost, you must first burn your own history.
The media creates a story, law enforcement follows it, and the public consumes it. I just had to feed them a better story.
They are hunting a phantom based on an old description. That person no longer exists. I am simply a face in the crowd.
Loyalty is a currency, and they spent it all setting me up. Now I understand their network's true weakness, a complete lack of it.
My analysis is complete. The variables are known. It's no longer about escaping. It's about re-engineering the outcome.
A scapegoat is powerful because all blame is focused on them. When that focus is redirected, the entire structure shatters.
The fugitive runs, the analyst hides, but now I will walk among them, an invisible agent of their own demise.
The hunt for truth is over. The manipulation begins.
The first step in dismantling a network is to poison its information stream. Trust is the first casualty.
An anonymous tip to one, suggesting betrayal by the other. A simple seed of doubt is all it takes to grow a forest of paranoia.
You don't need to control people directly. You just need to manipulate the environment and let their predictable instincts do the rest.
They operate on patterns and routines. To become their ghost, you must learn their rhythm and dance in the spaces between beats. Turn your hunters against each other. Give them a bigger threat to chase, a story too tempting for them to ignore. This city is a board game of my own design now. I know every shortcut, every blind spot, every hidden path they've long forgotten. A whisper of my location here, a hint of the money there. Keep them chasing shadows while I move in what they think is darkness. Their frustration will make them sloppy. Their desperation will make them turn on one another. I am merely the catalyst for their implosion. The ultimate power is not to be seen at all, to influence the world from the periphery while they fight over the empty center. Stage 4 begins. I slip into the city's veins to vanish. I count every second as footsteps close in. My pulse steadies.
Maps on paper remind me of unseen alleys only I remember.
My grip tightens. Instinct overrides fear, calloused and precise.
The clock is ruthless. The city gives no mercy for hesitation.
I plant doubts like seeds, watching hunters eat their own suspicion.
A planted scrap will whisper a lie to whoever finds it.
I re-raid the crooked script of their movements, each mark a betrayal revealed. Two shadows exchange numbers. Loyalty is currency I no longer trade in.
I guide their instincts like a puppeteer, letting suspicion tighten the noose.
I send a message that tastes of truth but reeks of deceit.
Grainy footage becomes my altar. Ambiguity is my ally.
I dissolve into rust and grease, a man phased out of sight. I flip the script. Their hunt becomes a theater I'm directing from shadow.
Playback reveals the seam. Someone choreographed our collapse.
I arrange a meeting that will fray the edges of their alliances.
I inject doubt into their veins. Loyalty decays under my touch.
A rival approaches. I measure distance and consequence like a surgeon.
I seal the last lie with a mark on paper and walk into the silhouette I cast.
They built an empire on fear and misplaced loyalty. It's time to show them how fragile that foundation truly is.
A single seed of doubt, planted in the right mind, will grow into a forest of paranoia faster than any army. Observe how quickly trust evaporates under the heat of accusation. Their greatest strength has become their fatal flaw.
You don't need to create conflict. Merely direct their existing greed and suspicion toward one another. Let them do the work for you. The most dangerous player isn't the king, but the one who desires the crown. You simply need to point him to a perceived weakness.
They are now hunting ghosts of their own making, chasing shadows you've painted on the walls of their crumbling safe houses. Power is never taken quietly. The ensuing chaos provides the perfect cover for a silent departure.
This was never about the score. It was about purchasing a future they could never touch, paid for with their own self-destruction.
History is written by the victors, or, in this case, by the one who simply walked away from the board.
The authorities need a narrative. You've just given them a simple, compelling story, where all the villains are already gone.
The new king reigns, believing he seized power. He'll never know he was merely a pawn promoted to a temporary throne.
The ultimate leverage is knowledge. The ultimate power is knowing when to discard it and disappear completely.
They search for a mastermind, a betrayer, a fugitive. They will never think to look for a simple passenger on a train. True freedom isn't escaping your hunters. It's making them forget you ever existed in the first place.
A name is just a label. When you shed the old one, you shed the consequences attached to it.
Anonymity is the final sanctuary. In a world of surveillance, being uninteresting is the ultimate camouflage.
Every connection to the past must be severed, not out of fear, but as a declaration that the game is over.
They saw you as just a driver, a tool to be discarded. They were right about one thing. You drove.
You drove the getaway. You drove the chaos. And now, you drive away into your own meticulously crafted peace.